Well, good morning or good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are logging in from. Welcome to our Aplos webinar. This is the tour of the Aplos suite. My name is Dan Kimball. I am a product specialist here at Aplos, and I am pleased to be helping walk you through our software. With me today and joining us is Aaron Hernandez. Aaron is one of our head support people and a super smart guy, good guy, and he's going to be co-leading this webinar with me. So we are so glad that you could join us today. I know that there are still a few people logging in, and that's absolutely okay. Meanwhile, just to kind of get things going, we're going to do a couple of housekeeping things, and then we will dive right into what you all have signed up to do today, which is hopefully learn a little bit more about the Aplos product. Before we get going, though, we just want to make sure that from a technology standpoint, things are working. So if you could just do me a favor and just type into the question. You all have a little question area in the GoToWebinar control panel. If you could just type in and let me know that you can see my screen, you should be able to see a Aplos screen with some numbers on it as well as hear my voice. So do me a favor, please, and just type in that box, that question box, and just say, hey, I can hear you, or hello, or whichever you so choose. So thanks for doing that. If you could do me a favor, that would be excellent. So I'm going to give you a second to kind of get logged in. Good. Good morning. Great. Jonathan, great. Danielle, Jeffrey, hello. Phyllis, great. Terry, welcome. Kevin, awesome. Really good. Thanks. You guys have already passed the first test. So A+ for you all for helping us out. It's always good to know that the technology is working. Also, before we get going, I just want to kind of get a little bit of a sense of who you are. So I'm just going to do a quick little poll, just kind of a little FYI for us to kind of find out kind of a little bit about your situation. So just like to know if you could just answer if you are one of the following. Are you currently an Aplos 15-day free trial? Are you currently a paid subscriber, or are you just checking us out maybe for the first time? Maybe you heard about us. Maybe you saw one of our online marketing tools or something like that, and you're just curious about us a little bit more. So that's great. So we'll do this for a few seconds, close it. I'll show you the results, and then we'll do a couple other questions, and we'll dive right in. In case you're curious, we do this webinar for about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Well, it's about an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end as well as during. So just kind of FYI on that. And we do record our webinars, so if for some reason you have to leave early and or something comes up, we can get your recording of the webinar. So let's close this poll right here, share the results with you, just so you know. It looks like about 50% of you guys are just checking us out. Got some paid subscribers and a few 15-day free trials. So welcome to all of you. Regardless of which of those boxes you live in, we're so glad you're here. What is your annual revenue? Just like to kind of get a sense. This is the annual revenue of your organization. How much revenue do you bring in each year? Are you under 50,000, 50 to 200, over 200,000? Again, no right or wrong answer, no judgment. Just simply want to get a sense of kind of who you are. Do that for about 5 seconds. 5 more seconds, and then we'll close that down. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and close this down, close that poll. In case you're curious, people do kind of like to know what's out there. So again, kind of a mix of folks from all different places, which is great. I'm going to hide these results. And then let's go ahead and do our last poll. This will be our last one. Just kind of want to get a sense of what area of Aplos are you most interested in learning about today. Are you looking at our fund accounting? Are you looking at tracking people, tracking donors, communication tools, or all of the above? The good news about the last answer is that you're going to learn about all of the above. I spent about 5 more seconds. And just so you guys know kind of all what's going on, there you go. So I want to say thank you for your participation in that. I appreciate that. It helps us, again, get a better sense and tailor kind of what's going on there. I do want to mention that at any time during this webinar, if you have a question, you can just utilize this that question box, the same question box that you used to let us know that you can hear and see. If you did just log in, again, we want to welcome you to our webinar. Utilize that question box. What we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the various features and functions of Aplos. We will pause throughout just to check to see if there's any pressing questions, and then we will leave ample time at the very end for you to ask any additional questions. We'll leave you contact information. So our objective is for you to get the most out of the time with you, because we know how valuable your time is as a nonprofit or church or faith-based leader. So there we go. So with that, before I introduce Aaron and bring Aaron up, the way it's going to work, we're going to start with the fund accounting. We're going to work through the accounting software or the accounting side of things, and then we're going to get into more detail about donor management and other functions on the donor management side of things. Just to kind of warm up your brains a little bit, imagine yourself starting a brand new nonprofit or a church or a ministry, all of the three, and imagine you're brand new at starting something, and think about the different tools that you're going to need to start that nonprofit, church, or ministry. So, for example, you're going to need a way to track your money or track your books, track your expenses. So we'll call that an accounting software. And then you think, well, now I have donors and I need to track my donors. So there's a second piece of software that you're going to need. And then in this day and age, you need to communicate to your donors and prospects and people or church members or members of your nonprofit. So you need to communicate to them. So you need a way to either send them letters or send them emails. So now you need a third piece of software. And then many times you want to maybe accept gifts online, such as online donations. And maybe PayPal is not your cup of tea and you need something. So there's a fourth piece of software that you're going to need. And then many times there's even things like doing events or other kinds of specialty things. And you think, gosh, how many pieces of software and how many passwords and things like that do I need? Well, one of the things that we're excited about here at Aplos to show you is the fact that we really are trying to give you as many tools in your toolbox. We like to use that term here for you in one place, to where you don't have to go out and have 5 different subscriptions and hope that they all talk to each other. So one of the things that we're super excited about as a company and as Aplos is the fact that you can do your accounting, you can do your donor management, you can do emails, you can do communication tools. All of these we're going to show you, but just to kind of get things going and why we as a company are really excited about you as a nonprofit and as a customer. So with that, I'm gonna kind of stop, and I'm going to bring Aaron on, and Aaron's going to take it from here. So again, we want to welcome you and thank you for your time. Go ahead, Aaron.
All right. Hello, everybody. As Dan mentioned, my name is Aaron. I'm a customer support lead here at Aplos, and so I have the pleasure and honor of giving you guys the tour of the Aplos software today. So what we're going to do first is go through a couple of initial setup tabs that we have, and then we'll talk about the fund accounting. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys here is going to be, let's jump over here. All right, we're going to show you this dashboard tab. So when you first log into Aplos, this is going to be essentially your home page. So this dashboard area, it's going to show metrics, graphs, and alerts that represent the activity that's happening within your Aplos account. So you can see there's a logo and the name of your organization at the top. Then you have some metrics underneath that for total cash balance, net income for the year, net income for the month, etc. You also have some graphs that represent the cash balance, an expense breakout graph, even some donation graphs. Those metrics and graphs, they're all preset options, but you can kind of toggle them to be moved around the page if you want to. So if you click on this little gray action button on the right side, that's going to take you to the settings for this dashboard page. So you can pick and choose which metrics and graphs you want to see on this screen when you log in. Once you have everything to your liking, just click the save option at the top, and that'll save your changes. As far as the alerts, those are going to be listed here on the right-hand side. So this first section here, that's titled Alerts. If you have things like an open bank reconciliation or donations that aren't linked to the accounting side of the system yet, any kind of thing that we want you to be alert of, you'll see that in the Alerts section. If you use the accounts payable and accounts receivable features that we're going to talk about in a little bit, you'll also see alerts for those items as well in their applicable sections. All right, and then last thing on this dashboard screen I want to show you is this little privacy switch. So in case you want to step away from your computer for a moment and you don't want anyone to see what's on your screen, just check that privacy box off, and that's going to wipe away all those metrics, graphs, and alerts, and just leave this resource page in its place. Then once you're back to your desk, just simply uncheck that box, and all those beautiful metrics, graphs, and alerts will pop right back up for you. All right, and so that is the dashboard feature or dashboard page. So now what we're going to do is jump all the way to the bottom of this menu to this little gear icon. And this gear icon represents the settings area of your Aplos account. So this settings area is only going to be available for those who are full administrators on the account. So anyone with full administrative access will be able to see these next few pages here. The first one we're going to take a look at is the org info page. This org info page, this is where you enter in the basic information for your organization. So what that's going to entail is you telling us what your organization's name is, what your tax ID number is, your fiscal year, when that starts, address, phone number, etc. You can even upload your logo if you have one for your organization. And then underneath that, you can enter in some communication settings. So what this section is for is to tell us who the primary contact should be for your organization. So in case we need to get in touch with you for whatever reason, whether it be maybe the credit card we have on file for you is about to expire, or if we want to send you a monthly newsletter to just let you know of things going on with Aplos, this is the area where you would let us know who we should be touching base with. All right, the next page we have here is the users page. And this, of course, is where you're going to manage who your users are for your Aplos account. So when you want to add a new user, all you have to do is simply click the Add User button at the top of the page. That's going to take you to this screen here where you can enter in the details for that new user, such as their first and last name, the email address they're going to be using to log in with. You can also select roles for your users. So you can give someone either full administrative access. You can give them access to just the accounting side or just the donation side of the system. Whatever role is applicable, there's even some read-only roles if you need them. Once you select those roles, just enter in a password for that new user that they can change once they log into the software, and then click Save once you're done. And then if you ever need to edit the information for existing users, just simply click on their name from this main users page, and it'll take you to the details screen where you can manage that information. All right, next up here is the subscription page, and the subscription page is where, of course, you're going to manage your Aplos subscription. So if you need to upgrade or downgrade your account, if you need to enter in a promotion code or update billing information, whatever the case is, this is going to be the page where you can come to manage that information. All right, the next page we're going to look at here is one of my favorites in the system, and this is the activity log page. What's cool about the activity log page is that this area keeps track of all the activity that's been going on within your Aplos account. So when you come here, you can see on any day at any given time what user or users were logged in and what kind of actions they performed while they were in the system. So did they add a new account to the chart of accounts? Did they delete a previous transaction that was entered in? Did they update some contact information for a donor? Whatever the situation is, it will be logged here on the activity log for you to reference at any point in time. Another area here is the file box section. So the file box, this is your basic storage space in the system. So if you need to store any kind of documents or images in a safe spot within the software, you can come to this file box area and upload those if you desire. This file box area does hold up to 1 gigabyte of data, so definitely feel free to put in whatever you need. If you do need more storage space, just let us know, and we'll be glad to kind of extend that out for you. All right, and the last page we're going to look at here under settings is the partners page. So the partners page, we are partnered with a lot of great companies out there, and this is the area where you can find who we are currently partnered with. So companies such as Bloomerang, Church Community Builder, Continue to Give, Donor Elf, Gusto Payroll, and PayPal. So if you have accounts with one of these companies, or if you're looking into starting one, you are more than welcome to link those accounts with your Aplos account so that you can work between both programs a lot smoother. All right. So now that we're done with the basics, let's go ahead and jump into the fun accounting section now, and we're going to talk about accounting. So the first tab I'm going to take you guys to under here is under accounts. We're going to go to account list. The reason we're coming here first is because this takes us to the chart of accounts page, and the chart of accounts is pretty much the backbone for the entire accounting side of the system. This is going to be a very important place to start off with in the system. And on this page, you're going to tell us all the different items that you're keeping track of for your organization. So all of your assets, all of your liabilities, all of your funds, all of your income accounts and expenses. This is the area we're going to be managing those from. So let's say in this, for right now, let's say I need to add a new income account and a new group within that income category. So I'm going to come under income. And if I want to add a new group, I just have to click this button at the bottom that says add group. From there, I'm going to give that group a title. So let's go ahead and just call this new group other income. Click save. So now under my income category, I have a new group that's titled other income. Now when I'm ready to add a new income account, I just simply click the plus mark icon next to the appropriate group. And then for every account, you're going to need to enter both an account number as well as an account name. So if you don't already have a numbering system in place, we recommend going off of the GAAP, the generally accepted accounting principles. So what that means is that your asset accounts would be numbered in the 1000s, your liabilities in the 2000s, your equity and funds in the 3000s, your income in the 4000s, and then your expenses in the 5000s and above. But again, those are just recommended values. If you have a numbering system in place that you're comfortable with, definitely feel free to use that same system here in Aplos if you like. For our example here, we're going to call this one 4050 to keep it in that 4000 series. And then the name of this is going to be miscellaneous income. All right, so those are the two required fields. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll have some additional options if you'd like to fill those out. The first one here for fund, this allows you to assign an income or expense account to a particular fund that you've created. So let's say, for example, this miscellaneous income account should be associated with my, let's say, my building fund. So what will happen now, since I have that assigned, is that whenever I record a transaction in the software using this income account, the fund that I've selected, building fund, will automatically fill in for me, so I don't have to manually select that each time. All right, so underneath that is the option to make this new account a sub-account. So if that's the situation, you just click the box there, and then in the blank field, you'll enter in what the parent account should be for this new sub-account. Once everything is filled out to your liking, just click Save. And now, under this income category, I have my group for other income and my new income account for 4050 miscellaneous income, and then the fund that I have it assigned to. So pretty simple to set all that up. Underneath accounts now, we're going to go to the next feature, which is tags. And so tags, this is a full tool that allows you to further categorize your transactions so you can see more detailed information on your reports. So what that means is, let's say that maybe you are a nonprofit that has multiple fundraisers that you do throughout the year, maybe a spring fundraiser, a fall fundraiser, and then a winter fundraiser. So you want to keep track of those things, but you also want to see individually how each of them are doing at a certain time. So maybe you set up a fund in your chart of accounts that's called fundraisers, and that fund is meant to keep track of all of the fundraisers you do throughout the year. But what you can do in Aplos is set up custom tags for each of those fundraisers. So for your spring, your fall, and your winter fundraiser, and apply those tags to the applicable transactions. This way, later on, when you're ready to run reports, you can run a fundraiser. You can run a report based off your fundraiser fund to see everything all together. But then you can also run reports based on those tags that you created, so you can see individually how did my spring fundraiser do compared to my winter fundraiser kind of thing. So if that's something you're needing to do for your organization, tags will definitely be a helpful tool for you to keep track of that. All right, starting balances. This is where you're going to enter in your beginning balances in the software. So for all of your asset and liability accounts, you'll see those listed going down on the page. And then going across, you'll see columns for the different funds that you've set up. So for example, my checking account here has a beginning balance of $23,500, but that amount is actually split out between multiple funds. So on the starting balance page, I put in the appropriate amounts in the applicable columns, and then that all totals out to my $23,500 amount on the side here. So if your beginning balance needs to be split out between multiple funds, this would be the way to do it. Otherwise, you can just plop the whole amount under the most applicable fund for that account. All right, next up, we're going to jump to the budgeting module. So you are able to create an overall budget for your organization within Aplos if you'd like to. So in order to get that started, you would just come to this budgeting screen and click Add Budget. Once you do that, you'll see the option to put in the year that you're going to be working with. So in this case, we can say we're working with our 2019 year since we're coming up there. Click Add. And so now from this next screen, I'll see a list of all of my income and expense accounts. And then in the budget column on the side here, I can enter my annual budget values for those different line items. Again, those are the annual budget values. If you guys do things maybe like on a monthly basis, then what you can do at the top of the page is check the box that says Show Monthly Breakdown. That's going to show you all the months for your fiscal year, and then you can click into any of those months and put in the appropriate values for those months. All right. So that is budgeting. Next up, I'm going to take you to the 1099 section. So you are able to generate 1099s in Aplos if you need them. So what this would entail you to do is set up some 1099 tags. So when you come to this page, click Manage 1099 Tags. This is going to show you a list of all of your expense accounts that are set up in your chart of accounts. And then the different columns here going across the page are the different categories for the 1099. So you'll just want to map your expense accounts to the right categories. And this way we know how to categorize each of the expenses that you record in the software. That would be step one. Step two would be to come into this people section and go to the list category. In this list category, we provide a group for you that's called 1099 vendor. So you would just click into that group, click this little plus mark icon in the upper right corner, and you can start adding people from your contact list to that 1099 vendor group so that we know which individuals to keep track of in the software as well. Once you have those all mapped out and start recording your transactions, then you can go to the reports area and generate that 1099 that you can print out for your people. All right, since we're on the people section, let me just give you a quick overview of what this area is all about. Dan's going to go into a lot more detail later on, but just to give you an initial overview of this people section. Within Aplos, this people area is your contact database in the software, so all of your people are going to live here. So all of your accounting vendors, your donors, staff members, anyone that is associated with your organization, they're all going to live in this one contact database. This first page here is the contact list page. This is going to show you kind of like your Rolodex of all of your people. If you need to add a new contact, you can click the green circle with a plus mark. This icon is going to show up on a lot of different pages, so just kind of keep that in mind. If you need to add anything new, this button here is going to be your best friend, the guy you're going to want to click on. So you'd click on this option there, and it'll open up a window for you so you can enter in the details for that new contact. All right, and over here next to that button is another actions icon. If you click on that, you have some additional options such as importing contact information. So if you have your contact data on an Excel file, for example, you can use this import option to quickly get that information into Aplos. There is an export contacts option. So if all the information you have listed in Aplos, you can export that if you need it. And then the duplicate contacts feature as well is available. So what that tool allows you to do is it'll search through your contact list here and it'll see if there are any potential duplicates. This way it'll point those out to you and you can quickly merge those together to get rid of them. All right. And so if going over next here is the list page. So this is where you can create different groups in the system. Custom fields here, this allows you to create any additional fields that you need to keep track of for your people, such as maybe an ID number or a t-shirt size, whatever information you're trying to keep track for your people, you can create a custom field to continue keeping track of that information. And then, like I said, Dan's going to go into a lot more details about this next one for households and all the other pages, so I'm just going to leave that for him later. Let's go ahead and jump back now to fund accounting and we'll continue on there. So we cover the accounts, and now under transactions, I'm going to go to registers. So now we're going to talk about how do you actually enter in transactions in the system. So under transactions, this first page for registers, this is probably going to be the primary place you come to enter in transactions in the system. What you do when you get here is at the very top, you'll select which account register you are working within. So in this case, I want to say that I'm working within my checking account, so I'll select that. Once that is selected, I come down to the Add Deposit Payment area here, and I'm going to enter in the details for my latest transaction. So let's say that today, the 28th, let's say I went to Target. I like shopping at Target, so we'll leave that. And then the comment, I'm going to say we bought supplies for the office. All right, let's say I spent 80 bucks there. And I did not pay by check, so I'm going to leave that field blank. And then in the account field, I'm going to choose the appropriate expense account for this transaction. So let's say that this is going to be miscellaneous expenses. So I'll select that. For the fund, I'm going to keep that set to my general fund. And then if I had a tag that was applicable, I could come to this custom tag area here and I could enter in that tag for the transaction. But once everything is filled out, we're going to go ahead and click submit. And so if it posts successfully, it's going to land down here in the transaction history area below. So as you can see here, the details, there's the date of my transaction, the payee, the account I used, the comment I left, the payment I made, and the remaining balance within my checking account. If I want to review those details to make any type of changes, I can click on the transaction here. It's going to open up all those fields, so I can click into any one of them and make the appropriate changes if needed. And then right next, on the right-hand side of each of your transactions, you'll also have this little handy-dandy trash can icon. So if you need to delete a transaction altogether, you can quickly click on that icon and get rid of the transaction. All right, so that is the register page. Next up, I'm going to show you guys the journal entry screen. So journal entry, this is just an alternative way of entering in transactions. Journal entry, this is kind of like the rawest form of entering data. So from here, what you would do is you would put in the date of your transaction, you would put in a memo, put in the appropriate accounts and funds that the transaction is working with, and then you would manually debit and credit those accounts that you've selected. Like I said, it's just an alternative way. The register does the same exact thing, except it automatically debits and credits the accounts for you. And then on the register, you can also keep track of additional information like a payee name or a check number. Also, something you can do in the journal entry screen here is perform fund transfers. So if you are looking for a way to reallocate money between your different funds, you can come to this area to take care of that. So from this, once you click Start New Fund Transfer, you'll see this entry screen here. You'll put in a memo for the entry, the date of the transfer, within which asset or liability account is the transfer happening within. So we can say for this example, this is happening within our checking account. So we'll select that. How much do you want to transfer? So we would say maybe $100. What is the source fund? So what fund is the money coming out of? So we would say maybe our general fund. And then the target fund where the money's going to move to, we can say maybe our Save the Turtles fund. So once I click transfer, what this will do is within my checking account, it will reallocate some money from my general fund to the Save the Turtles fund. So it won't actually change the total cash balance of my checking account. It's just going to say that I'm redesignating money from my general fund to my Save the Turtles fund. So pretty simple there. So if that's something you need to take care of, this would be the area you come to do that. All right, next up is going to be the Accounts Payable module. So Accounts Payable, this is what allows you to keep track of bills that you're making payments on over time. So when you come to the Accounts Payable screen here, you can enter in the details for that bill that you're going to be paying. So the vendor, memo, reference number if needed, the bill date and due date, etc. Once you enter in those details, and it's going to land in this Pay Bill section here in the middle. From here, you'll see you'll find the bill that you're wanting to pay. And you'll put in the amount you're going to pay and the payment date. Once you have that information filled out, you'll have two options to choose from at the bottom. You can either click this Pay Bills button, and that will record the transaction within your register, or you can click the Pay Bills and Print Checks option. That will still record a transaction in the register to record that payment, but it will also take you to the check print page, which will allow you to print out a check for that payment if needed. All right, and so once that bill has been paid off, then it's going to land down here in the History Close section below. All right, so going on the other side of things, we're going to jump to Accounts Receivable now. Accounts Receivable, this is the tool you can use to create invoices and send those out to people who owe you money. So you would put in the details for that invoice at the top of the page. Once that's created, it's going to land down here in the Receive Payments area. You'll find the appropriate invoice, and then you'll put in the amount you've received and the receive date. Once you do that, just click the Receive Payment button, and that will record the payment within your account. If you need to send out these invoices, you have two options. You can check the boxes for the appropriate invoices, and then you can either print out the invoice so you can hand deliver it to your people, or you can click Email Invoices, which will send this invoice as an email to those individuals. And then once the invoice has been fully paid off, it's going to land down here in the History section below. All right, so another tool that we offer here is bank integration. So bank integration, this is a time-saving tool that allows you to connect your bank account with Aplos so that you can quickly retrieve transactions that have posted at your bank. So once you have that connection made, you would click this Retrieve Transactions button, and it will retrieve the most recently posted transactions from your bank on this page. So you'll see a list of pending transactions here that are available to import. Once we are able to bring over the majority of the information, such as the date of the entries, any kind of check numbers, notes or memos, the payee name, and the amount. The only information we can't bring over is just the account and fund that need to be used for the transaction. So you'll still need to manually fill those out. But once you do, just click either the Import button on the side here to individually move a transaction, or you can check multiple transactions off at a time and click Import Selected here so that you can move multiple transactions at one time. All right, and then when you're ready to import transactions as well, there is a target register account section here. You'll just want to make sure that the correct register account is selected up there. So this way, when you import transactions, they go into the appropriate register. All right, moving along here, and the other tool we offer is called Bank Reconciliation. So Bank Reconciliation, this is a great tool that helps you make sure that everything in Aplos is accurate with what is showing on your bank statements. So using this tool, you can make sure that you don't have any duplicates in Aplos, you aren't missing any transactions, or you haven't recorded something incorrectly. So just a kind of a checks and balances tool to just make sure that everything in Aplos is in good standing. All right, and the last page I'm going to show you under this subheader here is the check print page. So the check print page, like I mentioned with accounts payable, this is the area you can come to print out checks for your transactions if needed. So you would come here and you'll see a list of available transactions that you can print a check for. Just mark off whichever ones you need to print a check for. Once that is done, you would put in your starting check number and then click this print button. Once you click print, that's going to download a PDF file to your computer that's going to have those transaction details on it so that you can print them directly onto your checks. If there are any transactions that you decide you're not going to actually print a check for, just mark them off still, but then you can click Dismiss Selected, and that will remove them as an option from the check print page. As far as what types of checks we support, we currently support both draft and voucher style checks like are shown in these images here. If you don't have these types of checks available, you can use the link on this page, which will take you to our preferred provider, Dynamic Systems, and you can purchase those styles of checks through them if you like. All right, so fixed assets and allocations are both part of our advanced accounting tier. Today, we're not going to be going over the advanced functions. We're just going to be going over the standard features that we offer. But if you do have questions about those more advanced topics, definitely feel free to get in touch with our team, and we'll be more than happy to talk about those in more depth with you. Next, I'm going to jump over to payroll. So as I mentioned earlier, we are partnered with Gusto Payroll. They are a wonderful partner that we've been partnered with for just under a year now. And so with them, it is a full integration. So everything that gets done within Gusto will be pushed into Aplos for you. So there's no kind of nasty export import process. It's just the information that happens with Gusto gets pushed right into Aplos for you. So there's no heavy lifting on your part. And the wonderful thing, too, with Gusto is that they are a full-service payroll provider, so they take care of essentially everything that you need to do for payroll. All right, and if you're interested with them, just let them know that you are an Aplos customer, and you actually get 3 months of service for free. So another great reason to kind of check them out. All right, next up is going to be the e-file section. So within Aplos, you are able to e-file some IRS documents, so either the 990N or the 990EZ. So if your organization needs to file either of those, you can definitely do those filings within Aplos, and we submit those to the IRS for you on your behalf. And then the last option we have here is the period close option. So period close, if you're looking for a way to kind of lock down your books up to a certain point, this is the tool you can use to do so. So from here, what you would do is just in the period date field, put in the date you want to shut the books down to. So even though we're wrapping up 2018, let's say we're still trying to wrap up 2017. So let's say December 31st of 17, and then we would click close period. At that point, what will happen is everything in Aplos up to December 31st of 17 will be locked in so that you can't go back and make any changes to existing transactions, and you can't go back and add anything new to that time period either. So if that's something you need to do, this is the tool you can use to do that. But definitely understand that, sometimes changes need to happen or mistakes happen and we need to go back. So if that is the case, any administrator can come back to this period close management tool and reopen a close period. So that's definitely available for you as well. All right, so that is everything within the fund accounting tab. So I'm going to jump over to the reports page now. We're going to talk a little bit about reports here. So under this reports tab, you're going to have all of your available reports for both the accounting side of the system as well as your donation reports. So from here, I'm just going to go over the accounting reports real quick. So let's just show you a couple. The first one we're going to look at here is the balance sheet report. So balance sheet, this is going to give you a quick snapshot of where your assets, liabilities, and equity accounts stand as of a certain date. So as of today, these are the balances for my accounts. If I want to see the details for those total amounts, I can click onto the amount for the applicable account, and that will take me to a transaction list report, which will show me the breakdown of what makes up that total balance that I see. All right, going back to reports here, we're going to take a look at an income statement now. So income statement, this is your basic profit and loss report, what's come in, what's gone out as of a certain date range. The majority of reports in Aplos do run off of a date range rather than as of date like the balance sheet. So if you need to change that around, there's going to be this date field in the upper left-hand side. Just click on that, and we have some preset options for you like this month, last month, this year, last year. but you can also do a custom date range as well if needed. And then also available on all your reports are going to be these blue buttons that go across the top of the page. The first one here for share, this allows you to email the report directly from Aplos to your designated people. So from here, you would just select which format you want the report to be in, so either some type of Excel file or a PDF file. From there, just select where the email should be coming from, where the reply to should be sent. In the Send To field, you can either choose from people within your contact list or even groups within your contacts. Or if they're not in the system, you can simply type in their email address in that field. Once everything's to your liking, then just click the green share button here, and that'll send that report right off to those individuals. All right, the save option, this allows you to save a report as is. So if you have a report that you've made a lot of modifications to and you want to continue using the report in that way, just simply click the save button. That'll save everything as you have it, so that the next time you come to the reports page, you'll see a category called saved reports, and you can access that previously saved report that you made. The print button, this allows you to print out the report if you'd like to. And then the download option, this allows you to export your report to your computer as either some type of Excel file or a PDF file. All right, so that is everything I have to share with you guys for the accounting side of things. I did see a couple of questions come through, so let me just kind of check through here and see what we're working with. So fund accounting, tracking revenue and expenses. Oh, okay, cool. I think we kind of covered that one, so let's see. Can I import from my bank so I don't have to do data entry? Okay, so that's a great question, Janine, and I don't know if that was before or after, but you can use the bank integration tool to do that, to connect your bank to Aplos so that you can just quickly bring in those transactions so you don't have to do the manual entry. If bank integration isn't your thing either, we do have an alternative way of importing transactions that you can do. So let me actually show you that real quick. So back under fund accounting, if you go to the register page, you'll see this import option at the top right side. So if you click on that, what this will ask you to do is download this transaction template that we offer for you. And if you can get your bank information, say on an Excel file, you can copy and paste that information onto our template and then upload your file from here. And then once you upload your file, it's going to look exactly like the bank integration screen, where you'll see a list of your transactions that were on that file. You select which register account those transactions should be imported to, and then you can click import or import selected to move one or multiple transactions at one time. So kind of the same functionality as bank integration, except this way you don't have to connect your bank account. You can just upload a file instead. All right, a good question. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic back over to Dan, and he's going to run with the donor management side of the system.
Regarding that bank integration question, I do just want to mention that sometimes people think that the bank integrations is going to do all the work for them. I do want to mention when you use the bank integration tool, you do still have to assign those transactions to an account and a fund. So there's a little bit of, there's still a little bit of work that happens. It's definitely speeds things up, but sometimes people think, they just push a button and it all happens. So just kind of make that happen. So with that, thank you, Aaron. We're going to move forward. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of shift a little bit. We're going to go from what, in a sense, Aaron's been going over is the business side, the accounting side of your nonprofit, church, or ministry. What I'm going to do is shift and get into the donor and donor management side of things, and you're going to hopefully see how everything kind of starts to come together and live together. So the donors and the donations do come in and fit with the accounting. Janine, I see this other question here, and let me. Okay, so I'm on Power Church Plus, and I want to move over. Is there an easy way to migrate? So I mean, we will work with you on existing, if you're on another system, in terms of doing an import, working with your file. Most likely what will happen in Power Church is you'll bring that data over to a spreadsheet. We'll work with you on formatting it and bring it over. So I don't ever want to promise anybody that's easy, because every software has its own set of challenges. But I would say that we do have customers who come from Power Church, and we typically can get them set up. So I would definitely say yes. When adding a new geographic location, we want to use the same fund and account structure. How best to set up so reporting and tracking can be done for each geographic location. Yeah, I'm gonna let Aaron take that one there. So
Oh, okay. So for who asked that one? Is that
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Right, Jeffrey. Yeah, good question. So really, you can use the tags function for that. So going back to tags that we talked about earlier, there is an option. You could essentially create a tag for each of your locations. Of course, your chart of accounts would still be the same, but you can just create those tags, apply those tags to the applicable transactions for each location, and then you can start running your reports based off of those location tags that you create, so you can see all together or individually how everyone's doing.
Yeah. And the next question, I remember that when I first set this up, I was asked if I wanted donor transactions to also show up on the transaction balance sheet. Where can I find that? Again, Danielle, I think what you're talking about is how donations show up in your accounting is what I'm thinking you're asking. And I'm actually going to show you that here in this next little segment. So I'm going to keep moving forward. Great, Danielle. And if for some reason that doesn't answer that question, then just tap us back in and re-ask that question. You're very welcome. So what I'm going to do now is going to start focusing on the donor management side of things. I'm going to start back up here into the people section. Aaron dabbled into it a little bit. But we want to kind of go back into it to show you in more detail. Again, this people section, your contact list, is going to be where everything lives in terms of your donors, your prospects, and your vendors. So I'm going to go back in here. We're going to actually pull up what we call a contact card. Within this contact card, you're going to be able to see the level of detail that you can start to track. What I like to say is that it's one of the great things you can do in any donor management system is really be able to get to know, or what I like to call build your donor DNA. How much do you know about your donors, and what is their connection to your nonprofit? By simply pulling up a contact card, you can quickly grab information such as name, address, phone number, email, or those kinds of important things, as well as you can get a sense of their giving level and how they give, how much they give. I do want to mention that we do have various roles that you can assign. So if you are a church or a ministry and you prefer to not see donor levels or meaning donor amounts, you can actually do preferences where you can only see some information but not all of it. So we can get into that in the end. But the point being, moving forward, is that you can really start to track lots of details about your donors, including those custom fields that Aaron already referred. Along with that, I'm going to kind of mention these tabs up here on the top of the donor card. The left side is going to be some additional actions that you can do. You can add things, edit things. You can actually download a contribution statement straight from the contact card. There is another place to do contribution statements where I'll show you that. But if you need to do a quick one-off, if your donor calls and says, hey, I've lost my contribution statement, you can do it right here. Let's go right up here to the top where, again, we talked about the details. You can go into more edit details. You can also add additional notes. These are going to be more observations or just some general notes about those donors. If you're an operation or a nonprofit that has various people working with donors and prospects, it's helpful to always get to know things about those donors that other people might want to know about. So you can do that in notes. We have this great feature called lists. Within lists, what you can do is you can create groups, and then within those groups, you can manage those groups. So maybe you have volunteers, maybe you have board members or some kind of specific group that you want to manage. You can do that here. And I'm actually going to show you more detail after I go through these top tabs. Of course, contributions are exactly that. That is going to be a track their giving history to your organization. The report of contacts is going to be an ongoing, almost like a diary, a historical data point of the contact between yourself and your organization. There's two different ways in which a report of contact will get entered into the system. The first is a manual, such as you go right here, you go add a new report of contact. We're going to select Bruce here because that's whose card we're on. We're going to do the type. Let's say in this, for example, we just had a meeting. We're going to call it yesterday, and we had coffee with Bruce to talk about the crime problems in Gotham. I didn't even know how to spell Gotham. Just want to mention that Aaron is a big Marvel fan, and so I like to do this contact on behalf of Aaron. So you can just simply put a nice little contact, you save it, and then the next time you go back in the system, you can see, oh yeah, I remember I already had this meeting or something like that. So it's a manual input. The second way a report of contact can get put in the system is anytime that you either print a letter or do an email campaign within Aplos, and we're going to show you those tools, the software will automatically print or stamp a report of contact when that letter was printed. So you can see right here, I printed a letter on 9/12, I printed a letter on 8/29, I printed another letter on 8/22. So you can see kind of the historical points there. You can also do relationships. So relationship might be a way to track maybe colleagues, coworkers, family members, or just different links or relationships that you want to connect with that primary contact card or primary donor. The date is going to be an important date that's not in one of the general fields. It might be some kind of anniversary, or maybe you're tracking a specific kind of date. I know that we have some faith-based customers that track certain dates when of like deaths and things like that. So whatever it is you're trying to track, you can do that as well in dates. Reminder tool is going to be a workflow that you can set up to where you can set reminders between yourself and that donor. You just simply go right here, you add a new reminder right here on Add New Reminder. Then what's going to happen is you go into our marketing area and we go into the feed. What you can do is when you log into Aplos, after you see how much money you have in the bank and make sure everything's good there, you can go to the feed and you can see right here, you can utilize this page as a workflow of some things you can be doing as a nonprofit to stay on track, such as sending a letter, making a phone call, something like that. So these are just some workflow and helpful tools that we're giving you to better manage your day and what you're doing, okay? So let's go back to the contact card. It's loading just a bit slow right now on my end, so just be patient as it loads up here. Hold on, please. So sorry about that. Hopefully you guys are all good. No panic here. So we talked about reminders. So let's keep moving on here. This is our contact card. Let's go right here to lists. We talked about this. Closed out and restarted. All good. Okay, Danielle. I'm glad everybody's good. We did not mean to panic you on our end. So anyway, let's talk about lists a little bit. Again, we talked about this. There's two different kinds of lists that you can run in Aplos. One is called a static list, which is where you create groups. The other is called a dynamic list. Both of these tools are a very powerful way to manage people, groups, and then run a certain list based off of those behaviors. So, for example, we already talked about this. You can create specific groups and then put people in those groups. You just simply do that in that contact card. And then what you can do here is by utilizing this plus button, you can create a dynamic list. And then you can then run a list based off those behaviors. So, for example, I want everybody that has a donation that is in a certain group. Or I want everybody that has a pledge, or somebody that has a birthday, or somebody that lives in a certain zip code. These are all really great, powerful donor segmentation features that you can do within the software. And we're going to show you a more real-time example of that towards the end, to where you can send letters, emails, and how all this lives together. So I really believe that the power in managing your people and your donors is going to be happen in lists and how you manage your groups. Again, Aaron mentioned custom fields. You can create custom fields within. We also have this great feature called households. If you are an organization that has multiple people within the household who maybe generate donations or are involved in your organization, and let's suppose that you want to only send one contribution statement to the entire household, or maybe you want to do one communication, what you can then do is you can create a household and then put different members within that household under one contact card. And then what you can then do is when you do your contribution statements, you can send one to the entire, like we said, household or family. We do know that a lot of churches use it like households. So this is a new feature that we've been using for about a couple months, and it seems to be going over very well. So it's just two different ways you can approach it. Like I said, if you have multiple people within a household, or you can go back to the traditional contact card. So that's managing your people. Next thing we want to do is your donations and your donation area. This is going to be not only tracking your donations, but also seeing who's giving and all of that. So first thing, we have a dashboard, an additional dashboard that we're going to give you. Anytime you log into the software, you go to the donations, you go to Fundraising Center. Anytime that you enter somebody into the software is going to identify those into one of four buckets. Again, we are talking about donors in this scenario, not vendors. They are either a prospect, a new donor, an engaged donor, or a lapsed donor. A prospect is somebody who has never given to your nonprofit or has not given in 2 years or more. We call those prospects. Those are people that might be involved. They might be a volunteer. They might have attended an event, but they have yet to donate. So this is a good group to maybe close in on and focus on. A new donor is somebody who's given one gift over the past year. This might be somebody that you want to be aware about, so you can send them a welcome letter or a thank you letter of some kind. An engaged donor is somebody who's given multiple times, 2 or more times during the past year. And then a lapsed donor is somebody who gave last year and is yet to give this year. So these are great indicators for you to manage your people. Right next to that is your purposes. Your purposes are going to become an important way for you to be able to drive designated gifts. So when somebody gives you a donation and they want that donation to go to a specific purpose or area of your nonprofit, church, or ministry, you'll want to create a purpose. And then that way, when you track that donation, that specific designated fund gets the right credit and gets to the right place. These are going to also become important when you do events and also create online donation forms so that you can add these purposes to those forms. Okay. We do have an event module in Aplos. Within events, what you can do is you can do registrations and or sell tickets to a specific event. It's very easy to use. This would be in lieu of using like Eventbrite or another third-party software. You just simply can go to the plus button right here. You create an event. You create a number. We'll walk you through a very easy to use template. You just simply fill out the details, the start and time of the event, whether or not it's free, whether or not there's tickets, all those various things such as a logo, where it's going to be held, the details, all of that. What's going to happen is when you're done going through this template, then you will create a link to send either to put on your social media page or your website where people can go to either purchase tickets or do RSVPs if it's a free event, and then take payment information and all of that. So it's a really cool feature. Again, we have some examples right here, some different things that we set up. We do have an additional webinar on this area alone. It's about a 25, 30-minute webinar. If you want information on that, let us know. There are no fees. The only fees involved in the events are going to be the same as the online donations, which I'm going to get into, Danielle. But the fees are going to be the transaction fees through WePay. WePay is the credit card processing provider that we use, and for both the events and online donations. We'll say these again at the end, but just so you know, the fees for WePay are going to be 2% plus 30 cents per transaction for automatic checking, ACH, such as a routing number, and 3% for Visa, MasterCard plus 30 cents per transaction. I'll do that one more time. 2% for ACH, automatic checking, plus 30 cents per transaction, and 3% for Visa, MasterCard. Okay? And so that's your event. So let's talk about donations a little bit, and then Wendy, I'll come back to that, to your question about the difference between purpose and funds. It's an excellent question, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. So in this contributions area, this is actually where you're going to go to track your donations via check or cash or people that are giving you donations. There's two different ways you can do it in Aplos. The first way is through what we call a batch or a bulk deposit, which many of you might already be familiar with. So you're simply going to go to your contributions deposit area. You're going to click our favorite green plus button, and you're going to create a batch. So this could be something like Sunday offering, weekend fundraiser, weekly donations, whatever you want to use as a descriptor so that when you go back to that screen, you can easily access that batch or remember how to get, name it, get into what it was called. So in this case, we're just going to call this weekly donations just for the sake of this particular demonstration. And then what you're going to do here, once you name it, is you're just going to simply go in and line by line, you're going to enter in the information on the check and where that money is going. Also, what happens here, you're going to basically be doing two things. So there's no double entry in Aplos. If you are using us for both donor management and accounting, what happens here is the donors get the credit so that you can send them the appropriate contribution statement and track their donations. But then also, if you see right here where I'm circling the mouse around a little bit, it says track this entry in accounting. Once I'm all done posting this batch, the total amount of this deposit will then post right into your register. And I'll show you what that looks like. But just really quickly, let's just say that I got a check. A reference ID might be a check number, a note, any kind of note you can put on there if you'd like. In this case, we're gonna take Aaron as an example. If you just put in a couple letters, the software is intuitive. It's going to just pop up his name. This is your purposes that we talked about and set up. So this is where I'll tell you, Wendy, the difference between a purpose and a fund is going to represent the major bucket or program areas of your nonprofit, church, or ministry. A purpose is how a designated gift gets into that fund. So, for example, you might have a missions fund, or you might have a building fund, or you might have a golf fundraiser fund. That's fine, but you need to have a purpose in order for that donor to get the credit as well. So all the money gets into that big bucket, but then the donors need to get credit for that. So hopefully that makes sense to you. In this case, we'll call this emissions. We'll do an amount. You can also separate a non-tax deductible amount right here. Such as if you have a dinner or a golf fundraiser, and part of that might not be tax deductible, and that'll show up on the contribution statement, as well as an expense amount will be such as a PayPal fee or something like that. The status for us, what we do is we give you an additional tool so that you can mark this gift as acknowledged or unacknowledged. What this basically means that if you are an operation or a nonprofit that does acknowledgement letters at a different time, you can just simply leave this as unacknowledged. You come back in later, you can run a report of all your unacknowledged gifts. You can thank them, send them a letter, and then mark that to acknowledge. That is a manual process that we hope to be automated down the road, but currently you have to do this manually. Or if you do it right then and there, you can mark it as acknowledged. If you don't particularly care about this one way or the other, just hit dismiss. We don't force you to use that tab. So you'll get the idea here. So again, we're going to take another one. I don't want to take up too much time because you'll kind of see here what's going to happen. But we'll take Tim here. Tim is our founder and CEO. He's feeling generous today. He made a $500 gift. So you're just going to go through line by line. If you're an organization that gets cash, you could just simply put cash here if you wanted, and do it that way as well. So the idea is whatever you're going to take to the bank on that day is what's going to live right here. We don't need to do this fourth row. We'll just do 3 rows for now, and we'll do $25 and call this good. Now, if you, for some reason, are going to use us just for donor management and not accounting, then you can just simply click this Do Not Post to Accounting tab, and what will happen is you will then have the ability to track your donors, and it won't mess with your accounting. If you're using us for accounting and donor management, then what you would do is you would link this to your checking or savings account, whichever account. You're going to hit save. 2 things have happened. This batch is saved with that donor information. Now, if I go to my fund accounting area that Aaron was working in, and I go to my register, and I go to my checking register, you see my checking register, you'll see right here that the total of that deposit will reflect what I took to the bank on that same day. So your accounting is taken care of as well as your donor management is taken care of. So that's a really great feature there. Now, another way you can do this, if you are an organization that maybe only gets a couple of checks and you don't want to do the batch at that time, you just want to get the transaction in there, you can just simply go to donations and contributions. You select the plus button again, but in this scenario, instead of doing a batch, you're just going to put the donation in real quick. So I'm just going to do that. Now, what's happened here is that this particular donor has a pledge set up. And so because I put his name in and that person has a pledge, the software is automatically going to recognize that pledge. And it's asking me, do I want to mark this as a pledge payment? Or if not, this might be above and beyond that pledge. So you can just simply do that. So that's why that happened there. Or like I said, you can just go plus button. Now, if this is a new donor, you can add them in as a new donor. So you just kind of see the, kind of what's going on here. So this is our colleague Maritza. Again, the fund, same idea is going to be the same, $50, and you just go save and close. Now, this time what's going to happen is you can then later on go back in and then mark this right here and then deposit it onto your checking or saving. That won't go to your register until you click this right deposit button. Okay, so two different ways you can do donations. Now, let me just say real quickly. Okay, so one question here is I use PayPal for donor contributions, and I don't see the track entry in accounting because it isn't a manual entry.
That's correct. So those. Sorry.
So once again, here's the question. I use PayPal integration for donor contributions, and I don't see this track entry in accounting because it isn't manual entry.
Right. So those, when you pull your stuff in from PayPal, what it'll do is you just assign it to a purpose. Those transactions then go into that contributions page that Dan was just showing you, that first one, second one. And so you'll need to check those off and then put them as a batch deposit. So that will actually initiate it so that it goes to the accounting side. So we just take care of the donation record through that PayPal integration, but you'll still need to check those off and make the deposits so that it pushes to the accounting side. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, you're welcome, Danielle. Another question here: Would we put ties as a purpose here? Typically, a tithe is the way in which somebody gives, but yes, you can definitely do that here as well. Okay. With batch contributions, can I check pledge versus non-pledged? Yes, it's going to work the same way. So in the batch, for example, let's go back to batch. I'm sorry, let's cancel that. Sorry about that. Let's go to donations and deposits. We'll just open up. The one I just did right here. I'm thinking this is what you're asking. We're going to add another row. And I'm going to put the date of Monday, again, a check, and I'm going to pick this guy right here because he has a pledge, and it's going to show as a pledge right there. Okay? So then, whoops, why did that happen? So the pledge will show up there. I believe that's what you're asking me there. Can you enter fees, not donations, from batch deposit form? In other words, can you assign a purpose to a non-contribution account?
You can assign a purpose to any income account that you have created. You can't assign a purpose to like a liability account or an expense account. They can only be assigned to an income account and a fund. So if you have an income account that is a non-contribution account, then yeah, you're more than welcome to connect that to a purpose if you need it.
Okay. And we're going to go save. Don't know why that's doing that, but we'll come back to that. So, all right. So let's keep moving here on the pledge. Right next to contribution is your pledges. So again, you're tracking donations, and those donations are hitting your accounting. Yes, the fees do not show up on the contribution statements, but the non-tax deductibles do. So fees do not show up on contribution statements. The only thing that shows up is the donation, and if there was any non-tax.
Oh, I see what he's saying now. Can you go back to the donations real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter. I think I see what you're talking about now. So let's jump back here real quick. We'll go back to this guy. So if you have any fees that are associated with a donation, such as like an online donation that has a transaction fee, I think this is where you're going. So let's just put those details back in there real quick so we can say, sure, Ryan.
Well, he's got pledge, so it's going to go to it.
Let's do Jim Maritza. Cool.
Yeah.
Do $10. So say if Maritza was an online donation, there was a fee that was included. So you would go to this expense amount column and put in that fee that was taken out. So say out of this $10, maybe it was a dollar fee. So put $1. Once you place that amount, what's going to happen is it's going to ask you which expense account and vendor to keep track of for that fee. So this way, when it does post to the accounting side, the gross amount's going to hit that income and fund that you've chosen, but then the expense will hit this expense account that you designate. So this way, everything lines up correctly on the accounting side of the system. So hopefully that is what you're asking. Question is, if we charge a fee for school tuition or record it in the batch, will the income show on their statement? Oh, okay, I see. So this deposit area here is really just meant for donations that are coming through. As far as tuition charges, if you want to do something like that, you would actually want to do that from accounts receivable on the accounting side. Like I said, this batch entry form here is just meant for contributions that are coming through for the organization.
Okay. So if you have more questions on that, Peter, we'll leave some more time as we keep going as well. So let's we talked about pledges, but again, this pledge tab is where you're going to go to actually set up pledges. So if you are an organization that either has annual or regular opportunity for pledges, you'll do that here. You just simply go to the plus button and you will set up your pledge, the amount, and whatever payment schedule that donor wants to make. We also give you the ability to run pledge statements, pledge reminders, and various reports simply based off the pledging. So that's a great feature as well. And then the last area that we're going to cover in the donation area is online donation. So many people ask, we've talked about this a little bit, but we're going to get into more detail. This is another tool we give you where you can actually do and accept online donations right in Aplos. So for that part, we're going to bring Aaron back up, and Aaron's going to go through the online donation process.
All right, good deal. So thanks for sticking in there, guys. Don't worry, we're rounding the corner now. So let's go ahead and talk about online donations real quick. So with online donations, as Dan mentioned, this ability is offered in the software. So the way that we do online donations for Aplos is we give you the opportunity to create either an online donation form or an online donation widget. An online donation form, that is going to be essentially a web page that you create that people can fill out their information on and then submit. And then the widget would be something that you can embed onto, say, your website, so that this way when they click a button on your website, it pops up that form so that they can fill out their donation information from there. So I'm going to show you what both of those options look like here. So let me jump back here. So online donations, we'll go to the first tab here for online donation forms. So you have the options here for your forms and your widgets. Just to take a look at a form, let me go ahead and view that. So here's an example of what an online donation form would look like. So you have your logo at the top, a title for your form. You can put in a picture and some text. As you can see, this is a test form that we've created for pufferfish obesity. So if you want to donate towards that cause, your donors can fill out their first name, last name, and email address. Those are fields we automatically place on the form for you. But you are able to add additional fields that your donors can fill out, such as if you want them to include a home address, a phone number, or any kind of custom fields that you have, they can fill out from here. After that, you can set up some predefined amounts that they can donate, or you can allow them to put in a custom amount. Your donors also do have the option to choose between giving a one-time gift or a recurring gift. For recurring, they can select between monthly or weekly, and then they can just set up the appropriate schedule for them there. You can also give your donors the ability to choose which purpose they are giving towards, and they can leave a note to your organization. You can also allow your donors to pay for the transaction fee if they want to for their donation. Once they do that, they would just click the button at the bottom, and that'll take them to the second page where they can put in their billing information. So that is essentially the online donation form. Again, it's just a web page that you create. You can use the URL there to send that link in an email, or you can attach it to a button that you can put on your website that people can click on. This is just a very helpful tool to have people donate to your organization online. The second option is for the widget. So what this looks like, we're going to jump to this next tab here. So this is a sample web page that we've created. So for the widget, you would put a button on your web page there. When your donors click that button, like I said, it's going to open up this little pop-up here, and it's going to look it's going to have the same fields as the online donation form. It's just going to be kind of in a smaller format. So instead of your donors actually leaving your website to go to a separate page, they would just remain on your website and then just fill out the information on this little pop-up here. So they can pick a predefined amount or put in a custom amount. They can choose between a one-time or recurring donation, choose if they want to pay for the fee, and they can move forward with entering in their additional information. The great thing about using us for the online donations, though, is the fact that we keep track of everything for you. So everything essentially gets done for you automatically within Aplos. So once you've created your online form, you have it live on your website, and people start donating. As soon as a donation is submitted, we record that donation within the contribution side of the system, as well as push it over to the accounting side in a WePay register that we create for you. I don't know if we've mentioned this already, but WePay is our partnered processing company that we use. So they take care of processing all those donations and online payments that come through. So for them, you would set up your WePay account, and then you start receiving that money for our online donations. Like I said, we track the donation automatically once it's submitted, and then we push it to your WePay register on the accounting side, so that deposit is recorded for you. Something else that's cool with the online donation feature is the fact that we automatically send your donors a receipt as well once they submit their donation. So once it's submitted, they'll within a minute get a receipt or an emailed receipt from us, just saying, thank you for your donation to this organization. And if you have any questions, please let our team know, that kind of thing. So very little action is needed on your guys' part. So as soon as the donation is submitted, you'll see the record in your Aplos account, and then your donors will receive an email saying thank you for their donation. All right, I just see a couple questions come through, so let me just check those out real quick here. So can you use both the online form and the widget, and would that be logical to do? Yeah, no, definitely. We definitely have people that do both. So you can, it just depends on what your preference is. But you can do the online form if maybe it's for a particular, fundraiser that you're having or something, like a kind of a one-off event, and maybe your widget is something you use for just general donations that people can do at any time. Let's see this one here. Can you create QR codes to accept online donations? We don't have that ability, unfortunately. I know that's something that's been asked in the past, so maybe something that we look into in the future, but for right now, QR codes isn't something that we offer. The donors need to have a WePay account. No, sorry, the donors do not need to have a WePay account. The organization is who is setting up the WePay account. The donors don't need to do any kind of action for WePay. In the event... okay, gotcha. Does WePay charge a fee in addition to the monthly payment for Aplos, or the online transaction fee the only cost? No. So creating a WePay account, creating these online forms, those are all included within your Aplos subscription. The only additional fee is just that online donation fee that Dan talked about earlier. So the 3% plus 30 cents for credit cards, 2% plus 30 cents for ACH payments. So ACH just meaning like e-check, and then 4% for American Express cards or international credit cards. Those are the only fees that are applied for the online payments. All right, let me jump back over here now. So online donations. So as I was talking about, your donors can make recurring donations. So if you want to review those donations, you can come to the recurring donations page here. That's going to show you a list of all of your recurring donors and their schedules that they've made. Go into the second page for online donations. This is going to show you a listing of all online donations that have either processed or attempted to process. So whether they're one-time or recurring, whether they processed successfully or failed, you'll see a record of all those donations on this page here. All right, let's see. So WePay is free with Aplos. Correct, yes. So WePay is completely free to create through Aplos. Let's see, how do I make a receipt for a donation? So that's a great question. So like I said, we do send out the emails automatically. Those are going to be hosted in the automatic emails tab, which Dan is going to cover in a little bit here. So we'll show you more or less where those are handled from. All right, but great question, guys. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of tap Dan back in here, and we're going to continue forward with the donations and marketing tabs.
Yeah, Jen, and I'll show you the other way to take care of that receipt as well. There's two different ways you can do it. The other thing I want to mention, somebody asked about the widget. One advantage about the widget is it is a little bit more mobile friendly. So because we don't have a text to give option in Aplos, what you can do is you can create the widget and encourage people to give by phone, by smartphone, that kind of thing. Next, I just kind of want to highlight a couple other areas in our marketing tab and then show you how to do some contribution statements and additional receipts and things like that. So we'll do that. I see a couple more questions and we will come back to those, I promise. So again, mentioned on the front end, we do have the ability to do email templates and campaigns. So if you are looking for an alternative as an email communication tool, you simply go to emails. You can go to the email campaign area right here, and you can create a campaign simply by, using one of our templates right up here. And you can do something like a newsletter, an announcement, a contribution statement, all sorts of communication tools right here. Just like MailChimp or Constant Contact, you'll create it, you'll send it, and then you can see who opened it, who closed it, what bounced, all of that. The nice thing about that is it's not an additional subscription, and you can do it right from here. And it is very easy to use. We'll just go right here to campaign. You just go create new campaign, and put in the appropriate information. So we'll go right here. You just simply go here. You can pick one of our styles and then select it and then put in the information you need, as well as you can do customizable fields such as first name, a donation amount, a date, those kinds of things. So that's our email campaign builder. We also give you the ability to create letters. So if you want to do a more customizable letter for your donors, what you can do, you go right here. You can actually create a template. Let me show you really quickly. For example, here's a template that I created. Here's my logo. Here's a date, a donor first name, last name. You could do address. And do that here. And yes, Jim, you can watch the whole webinar. At the very end, we will give you our information, and we will send you a full length video of this webinar. So you again create this customizable letter right here, and then save it. And then what you can then do is you can go back to the list designer that we talked about. You can generate a list. So for example, I'm going to call this this is going to be my last donation during the last 30 days. This is everybody who's donated. I'm going to hit preview. It's going to run a list. It's going to update it. Now what's going to happen, since it's saved, I'm going to go to actions, and I can do two things. I can either send an email from a campaign or a template that I've saved, or I can print a letter. Let's go right here. I'm just simply going to select that new donor letter. I'm going to hit preview and print, and boom, there you go. Here's my letters with my logo, with the first name. You can see these are all the letters right here. I'll hit next. You can see that the letters with their donation amount is ready to go. So you don't have to leave the software. You don't have to relaunch a different piece of software to do a mail merge or something like that. It's very, very easy to use and really saves you a lot of time. Once you print these letters, you hit the download letter. It will download it to a PDF. You can print them from your computer, and then each one of these people will have a report of contact stamped into their contact card. So that's a really cool feature as well. Okay, so that's your letters and emails list. And then lastly, we do give you also a website builder in Aplos. So if you are somebody that's looking for a new website, or you want to build a new website, you can actually do that in Aplos now. So we one more tool that we now offer you, which is the ability to create and build your own website. We give you full instructions on how to do that. Okay, so that's your marketing tools. That's your communication tools. So we've talked about donations and marketing. The last thing I want to do is I just do want to highlight one additional report, pretty critical, and that a lot of people want to know about contribution statements and how to do those in Aplos. So we're going to go right here. We're going to go to our donation reports. You can see that we have reports just as a live bunt and a side bunt. These are such as somebody who gave last year, but unfortunately not this year. Somebody who gave some year, but not this year. We have a top donor report. We have a pledge report. You can do a report on notes. But most importantly is this donation by contact report. This is where you're going to go to find out who your donors are and run different reports based off of where they're giving, the time frame, and all of that. But probably the most popular feature right here is going to be this right here, where you're going to go extra actions, and you're going to hit print contribution statement. And simply by 2 clicks or 3 clicks, all you're going to do is just decide what kind of contribution statement you want to run, hit print, and then the software is going to automatically print those for you and as a PDF folder to your computer. So that's a great feature as well. Okay, so those are going to be on your reports area as well. Let me just mention a couple other last-minute resources, and then we'll finish off with our last of our Q&A because we still have some more questions coming in. Excellent questions, by the way. Very, very good questions. Some additional other resources we just kind of want to let you know about. First is our help, our support is free. That is something that comes with your subscription. And so we have an awesome customer support team. You can give us a call during our business hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time and talk to a person on the phone. Or you can, if you are a self-learner, you can go to our support center right here, which is this little question box. It's going to take you to our customer service support center area, what we call our support center categories, and you can look up things by topic, like how do I do certain things, or you could actually type in something like something I just did, which contribution statements. You can go, something like that, how to do contributions and deposits, emailing. We're going to give you a variety of articles, videos, and tutorials, as well as things like webinars. We do this every Wednesday. We also have monthly webinars, as well as software feature webinars when we release new products. For example, we are at the end of this week or early next week, we are going to release a new feature called Groups and Events. I think it's going to be called Groups and Events, but anyways, it's going to be able to, you can actually manage groups and have things like board tools. So you can do like committees, boards, subcommittees, and things like that, where you can manage those as well as the documents within. And we'll be doing a webinar on that next Thursday. So you can go to our webinars page for more information on that. And then last resources, you can actually utilize our Intercom, which is this box right here on the bottom right-hand corner. And you can type in a question, and one of our staff will respond, usually within an hour or two. It's not a live chat, but it is an alternative, especially on the evenings or weekends. If you have a question and you don't want to wait for the phones, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So that's another way. And at the very end of this webinar, I will leave you my email and Aaron's email, and we will you can email us any questions you have. So with that, I want to go back to the questions because we had a bunch of more questions come in. So hopefully, Jan, you saw the different ways you can do a receipt for a donation. Again, I want to mention that if you're going to do an online receipt, an email receipt, you would just do that in the email area right there, which is automatic emails. And then, of course, I showed you the physical contribution statements as well. Okay, so that's how you're going to do those. Let me see here. We get a website. Is it customizable, and can we add videos from YouTube? Yes. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, no, you definitely can. So the website builder that we offer in the system, you can create a website of whatever your choosing is. So you can build it however you like to. If you have any videos on YouTube, there are ways for you to embed a video onto your website so that you can show that off.
Okay. Next question is if we want to upload emails to accept donations, how is this done? Do you run bulk uploads, CRV, CSV files?
Let's see,
Jonathan, I am not 100% sure on what exactly you want to do with that. So either we can chat offline, you can re-ask the question, or we can figure out a way to communicate. Okay. Join late. Can I watch the webinar later? Yes, we can show you, Jim, where this webinar is. You're welcome, Jonathan. We can certainly get that to you. Can you embed links with newsletter link in your YouTube videos? Yes. Yes, the newsletters, for sure, you can embed links and send people different places. You're very welcome. What about building an app? Maybe I missed that part. You didn't miss it, Jim. We didn't really address it. We've had a lot of feature requests for an app. I will say that Aplos is very mobile friendly, very tablet friendly. We don't currently have an app, but there is a lot of discussion about it. I can't say yes or no, but what I will do, Jim, is I will continue to add that to our customer feedback about the desire to have that. Okay. Where do I find the webinar for events? In that question box area that I showed you, it should be in the webinars area. If for some reason you cannot find it, Danielle, please let me know when I give you my email address, and we will send you the link. Do you need a certain type of subscription for bank integration? No, all levels are subscription provide bank integration. You're welcome, Jonathan. And then the last question that I see is, are we able to connect our current website, or are we required to use your website builder? Oh, no. You can for sure continue to use your own website. All you're doing with the website is taking the links that you create, whether it's Event Builder or online donations, and adding them to your existing website. All we've done is we've just created another tool for those small nonprofits that maybe want to start a brand new website, but you can absolutely use your own website. Is a household considered one contact for each family member? So what's going to happen with households is you do need to enter each person in as a contact, and then you group them in a household. So yes, every time you put in a person in a household, it's going to go as a contact count. So yes. Danielle, so then what is the difference between the three subscriptions? I purchased the middle because I thought that was the only way to have bank integration. I'm sorry if that's what you thought. So our subscriptions are solely based off of users and contacts. The only feature set that changes is with our basic lowest level subscription. Here, I'll show you here really quickly if you'd like. Is the only difference there is the phone support. We give you some basic phone support, but then after that, we don't offer as much phone support. But then after that, you can see right here's our three plans. The all features right here are what you get with all three of these plans. The plans change solely based off of users and contacts. A user for us is anyone that has a unique login and password to Aplos. And then, of course, contacts are the number of contacts that are in that contact area that we talked about. So, Danielle, please give us a call if you feel like that was, if something's changed for you. Does the PayPal integration work similar to the WePay integration? Does the info flow into the system, the PayPal partnership?
Right. So with the PayPal integration, yeah, that information, it kind of works like bank integration to be more direct. So you would retrieve the transactions that are posted at PayPal and then just push those into Aplos.
So Danielle, maybe we can talk about offline about your misunderstanding about that. So we can certainly talk with you about that integration and the different levels. So I'm going to leave you some contact information here at the end. So a little bit about tags. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You want to take that? Talk a little bit more about tags.
That wasn't the one I was looking at.
Oh, so Wendy, talk a little bit more about how to use tags. So tags are basically used as a way to track the income and expense of something without creating additional funds. The one kind of temptation in Aplos is when people start to understand funds. I'm going to go right here to fund accounting, and I'm going to go account list. Is what they'll start to do is they'll create a fund for everything. And so all of a sudden they'll realize they have 15 or 20 funds when you don't really need to create a fund, for example, for like a fundraiser or a one-time event. What you can do with tags is, so let's say, for example, I've got my missions fund. And let's say I was going to do a barbecue to raise money for my missions fund. What I can do is I can create a tag called barbecue, and I can track the income and expense of that barbecue. And then that money will go back into the missions fund without creating a brand new fund. So that's probably the most common scenarios about tags. There are also some advanced tagging features we can get into offline if you like, but that in general, tags are a great way to track income and expenses underneath funds, okay? So Phyllis, so the only add-on will be for the payroll module. That is correct. The only add-on in any way is, besides the transaction fees and we pay, is if you want to do payroll, you need to pay that subscription for that. So everything else that we talked about, everything is on this pricing page. All these are features right here that you get as part of one of your 3 subscriptions to Aplos. Okay. Do you have to enter a donation from the donor section for the amount to flow into a contribution, or can you also enter it from a register? No, you do have to enter it in the donation area. The only way to do it in the register is you go right here. So let me rephrase that. There is a way to do it in the register, but you have to make sure you do it this way. So you're going to go to Fund Accounting. You're going to go to Register. What you can do is you can do it right here in this Add Contribution button. So you just go right there, and you would do it from there. So that is a way to do it. We don't recommend it as much. We do think that the donation area is a better flow, but you can do it this way. Okay, great. So we are at about 10:30. I'm more than happy to take some more questions. I want to make sure that I leave you a couple of contact information. You can call our general support line at 888-274-1316. You just go to aplos.com to find that right up here. I'm going to leave you my email address and Aaron's email address. Let's start with Aaron, since his is the easiest. It's Aaron, AARON, at aplos.com. And my email is dan.kimball, and that's dan.kim as in Mary, BALL, at aplos.com. So it's dan.kimball at aplos.com. If you have a question about anything today that we went over, or want some additional information, if you'd like to talk further about our plans, if you'd like further about subscription levels, give us a shout out, give us a call, and we will certainly feel free to answer your question. This was a great group of questions today. I know this kind of went a little long, but it's important for us, for you to know as much as you can about Aplos software. So we want to thank you for spending time out of your busy schedules to join us. We'd be happy to have you as a customer if you're looking for software. More than anything, I would encourage you, if you haven't checked this out, be sure and try out our 15-day free trial. All you have to do is just go to aplos.com, try it today for free. All we ask is you enter in an email address, set up an account, and you have 15 days to play around with the software and try out these tools. So with that, we want to, again, thank you one more time. Have a great day. We hope to talk to you soon. Danielle, please give us a call or reach back out to us so we can talk about your situation. So thank you, everybody. With that, have a great day and a very happy holiday season. Thank you, everybody.